we move on to react to PSG. They have earned the Last-Gasp win um, in their opening game of their Champions League campaign when they took on Girona, the surprise team from La Liga last season, finishing third. And PSG got a late win after a horrible late game blunder from the Girona goalkeeper, Gazania, the the Argentinian makes a bad mistake, literally fumbles the ball into the back of the net, essentially after Nuno Mendes. People are calling it a shot. Um, in my opinion, I think he's just trying to play it across the 6 yard box, play it across the goalkeeper, and just you know make it dangerous. But people are saying it was an attempted shot. Look, I do have to say, if it was an attempted shot from that angle, well, he has believed from himself, because that's a that's a weird angle to be taking a shot. In my opinion, I think he's just trying to play the ball, you know, across the 6 yard box. Maybe someone can get a foot on it. Um, it instead beats the goalkeeper right through his hand, in between his legs, and yeah, it's and being in the last minute as well is it's a blunder beyond despair. And by the way, you know before that, he made a few saves, and they had the clean sheet in the bag, and he made a few saves, and just in that one moment is devastating. Really, this is Girona team that's playing, in the Champions League for the first time, and I don't know if Girona has ever played in the Champions League. Uh, I'd have to fact check that, but definitely the first time in recent history, at least. And in playing that game, and this is their first ever appearance in the Champions League, actually, Girona. Um, and being in that sort of moment, being in your first Champions League campaign, and in your opening game, you go away to the Parc des Princes, you earn yourself a hard fought, point, just to fumble it away at the end. It's really devastating and heartbreaking for Girona. Look, for PSG, that's an important moment for them, I have to say, and a moment that should not be underestimated for PSG. That own goal, that mistake, that's important, because PSG have a very difficult 8 game group stage. They go on, they go on to take on Arsenal at the Emirates. They go to Arsenal to take them on at the Emirates Stadium. They play PSV. They play Atletico. They go to Munich to take on Bayern. They have to play a Salzburg team that also is really, really well. And then they play Manchester City and Stuttgart. That is this City, Arsenal, Bayern, Atletico Madrid, and those are 4 really difficult games. And on top of that, you have to go to Stuttgart, who we saw yesterday against Real Madrid. They're willing to go at you. They can play some really good football. Salzburg as well. We know Red Bull Salzburg with their no, that's Leipzig, not Salzburg. But I'm thinking of Leipzig. But yeah, so Salzburg is not as difficult a game as I'm making out to be. But specifically, Stuttgart, that's a team that can put up a good fight as well. So, look, that that could be a pivotal moment for PSG. That own goal, really, because watching this game, PSG weren't weren't exactly, you know in the first half. Girona, they controlled the ball for moments in the game. Like they had some really really good possession, and PSG struggled really to play in that first half. Despite the stats look dominant, and in the second half PSG were the far better team. 26 shots to 3 for Girona, 5 shots on target for PSG to 1 for Girona. But PSG weren't exactly as dominant as I expected. Despite this, in the second half, when they were chasing the game, when they were playing with desperation, yes, even though they did look a little bit of lacking ideas, and they did lack cutting edge at times, and there's still a big issue when it comes to Ousmane Dembele and his end product. He had a few opportunities there that he needs to do better on, but going back to what I was saying, in that first half, Girona they weren't playing bad. They weren't playing bad, and PSG in that second half they put on a lot of pressure. It was a relentless amount of pressure, and it did seem like the breakthrough was probably gonna come, and it did ended up coming in the most unlikely of circumstances. Um, but yeah, Girona's defense, they defended really, really well. They neutralized PSG in the first half. And, PSG were frustrated in that first half, and Girona was able to have their few moments. And in that second half, though, PSG were a lot better. Um, Asensio actually had a good opportunity in the first half that he couldn't get into the right side of the post. Um, and then he suffered an injury, which led to Randall Colomwani coming on. When the second half began, though, that's when we saw Ousmane Dembele, him make runs, him show what he can do, show that he has great, great ability. But there was a few, the end product was, he had one opportunity going in one-on-one, and he decides to go straight. He doesn't cut across the defender. He decides to go straight, and he allows the Girona defender Ladislav Krejci to make a last ditch challenge that kept it 0-0. Dembele, there's the same issues with Dembele. He's really good in terms of pure talent and ability, and he's good on the right and left foot, but his end product. An end product doesn't necessarily mean just his final finish. It's his final ball as well. It's the timing of the ball. It's whether you should play the ball across the 6 yard area if you cut it back, whether you should cross it, whether you should play the first time, whether you should cut in, cut out, whatever. It's the final third decision making. It's not just the final finish. Just in general, his end product is just not good enough and hasn't been good enough, period, ever in his career. And it's something that we've always said, okay, it's going to come, it's going to come, it's going to come. But in my opinion, end product is not something that you can get better. I mean, you could get better on your end product, and it's something you can work on. But if your end product is crap, your end product is going to be crap. That's the final line. I mean, and yeah, with PSG, I can't put into words how big of a win this is. This is a huge victory again. This is a team that has to face Arsenal, Bayern, Atletico Madrid, Manchester City, and still left in the Champions League. So get your wins when you can get them. Because if they drop points at home in their opening game against Girona team, which is one of their, it's not an easy game by any means, no, but it's one of the less difficult games. There's no doubt about it. This game, the Salzburg game, these are the games that you have to take advantage of. Now they go on to take PSV. Girona, on the other hand, I believe they take on Feyenoord in their next Champions League game, and that's actually going to be their first ever home game in the Champions League. at the Montelivi, which is which is going to be very fun to watch. That's a stadium. It's only about 15,000, getting to host the champion.